Just tell me, why is the seaside in Britain so important in terms of our sociological history?
Well, certainly for me, I mean, I'm Welsh, and Wales is a very small country, 7,569 square miles or something, with 765 miles of coastline. So nobody in Wales is more than 40 miles from the sea. So if you come from a country which is actually a very working class country, then the seaside was your holiday. You know, you only had to go 40 miles. And the seaside is fun, you know, it's very democratic, it's comparatively inexpensive. By and large, everybody enjoys themselves there. You know, I mean, I remember as a young boy, 4 or 5, you know, getting on the train and going to Bally Island and you know, with my bucket and spade. And it's an exciting place to be, and people are very uninhibited there. Photographically, it's actually quite easy to do because people are so, you know, up. And they don't really care. And if you're, you know, reasonably unobtrusive, and I tend to dress down. I tend to dress very much to be one of the people that I'm among, you know, I'm very in control of my equipment, so I don't look as though I'm messing about. I look like a tourist, and for me, it's enjoyable because I love people enjoying themselves, you know, and so that's what I photographed a lot of, you know, and I presume that's the same. So when I first started in photography, it was in London. There was Fleet Street at that time, so that's where you congregated. At the weekends, I could get away from current affairs. I would go down to Hurn Bay or something on the train, very close, and you know, photograph again there.
And David, can you tell me, I was fascinated when I was a teenager reading Dylan Thomas's poem about the seaside. Do you think you're carrying on some sense of the humanity, but also the detail and the chaos and the excitement of the seaside that Dylan Thomas managed to capture in that poem?
Yeah, well, I mean, Dylan Thomas was a genius, obviously, and the beauty about people that write like he does is that they're incredibly precise about what they do. That's why I quite like working with poets, because poets are very precise in their language. And photography, in a way, is quite linked with poetry in that, you see, most other art forms, I hate this word art, but most other forms of communication, you start from a blank slate. If you write a book, you have a piece of paper and you write, and if you don't like the sentence, you cross it out and you rewrite it, and if you write music, you do the same, you write the thing, and if you're painting a painting, you paint, and if you don't like it, you paint over it. Photography, you can't do that. Photography is the opposite way around. You start off with a mess, and you have to clarify that mess very precisely in a fraction of a second, you know. Well, there's a kind of link to that of the tautness of a poem, you know, that, and I enjoy that. I mean, that's what one's trying to do when one's going and seeing something unfolding in front of you, and I'm a photographer that doesn't ever set anything up or never asks anybody about anything. I just want to be, as Sherlock Holmes said, to problem with you, my dear Watson, is you see but you don't observe. So I'm an observer, and what I try to do is observe, and I hope the little moments that sometimes work, other people enjoy, and then the perfect is that they not only enjoy it, but they want to buy it. And that allows me then the next week not to die of malnutrition. You know, so it's a, you know, I'm very much it's my job. I earn my living doing it, and I'm very conscious of that. You know.
But how important is it, David, to provide a historical record of how the British have been at leisure, and thinking about some of the funding that is or isn't going into our seaside towns, it's very important to capture life in England, isn't it? Do you think, although you say you observe, do you think you're ever sentimental about it, or are you the cool, calm observer that you talk about?
I hope I'm a cool, calm observer. The mere fact that, in photography, there's only two controls. One is where do you stand, and one is when you press the button. Now, they're both very subjective acts, so you can't get away from it. Photography is kind of, the way I do it, is almost like an amalgam of objectivity and subjectivity. So I'm certainly not trying to push some political point or anything like that. I'm never doing that. I just want to record. Whether that has importance or not, who knows? I don't really care. But I do think, well, I guess I do care because, I try to put my pictures into places where in 100 years' time they will still be able to be seen. And if you do that, what you're actually saying is, I think it would be useful for people in 100 years to see the vision of a person. And I try very hard for that vision to be accurate and to be honest. That's why I don't set up pictures at all. I want people to look at my pictures to say whether they like them or they don't like them. That happened. That actually happened, Now,